of course, part of the problem and what led to the martial law and the impeachment and all of the ugliness and political scandals is that the president did not have control of Parliament. Legislature was controlled by what had been the opposition, and they were making his life a living hell. They weren't passing budgets. They were investigating his wife, cabinet members, and frankly, they were extremely aggressive about it. In some ways, they were, doing it just to try to obstruct him, not only to govern effectively. And that won't be the case, assuming that the center-left candidate actually wins in South Korea today, which you're assuming, which I'm assuming. I think it's a fairly safe assumption. You're going to have the government actually rowing in the same direction. There are lots of countries around the world that are divided, but that have more unified governments that have a more effective time responding to Trump, the disruption coming from the U.S. president. What you don't want is a very weak government. So in that regard, I actually think it'll be a lot easier for South Korea to engage with the United States than it has been over the last few months.
Clarity on leadership itself, though, Ian, the presidency, even if Lee does win the election, he's, as you know, facing several criminal trials, right? So this is going to have to go to the Constitutional Court. We may not know for some time yet.
That's right. The fact that they, sort of kicked this back to allow him to even run and win was completely uncertain until just a few weeks ago. Now, how that ends up being ruled for a sitting president is a very different story. And I think there's generally a reasonable amount of confidence that he's going to be able to continue to govern despite the outstanding corruption scandals in that regard, a little more like the United States in that regard than a lot of other countries around the world. A bigger question is, he has campaigned as a centrist. He's campaigned as someone that's going to bring everybody together, but that's not his history at all. For many decades, this has been someone who's very critical of a South Korea-Japan rapprochement. He's been much more soft on engaging with China, where Trump absolutely is not right now. He's been much more problematic in terms of fiscal restraint at home, all things that are going to be much harder to govern on if he turns to revert to traditional style, as I expect he will. I don't think he suddenly changed the spots just over an election and decides to govern much more to the left once he wins.
All right, so what you're basically saying, the key takeaways, Ian, is if it is Lee, he may not necessarily be good for the economy right now in South Korea.
That's right.
And may not be the man to negotiate with the Trump.
I think he's going to have an easier time negotiating with Trump because he's in a stronger position, has a unified government. I think he's going to have a harder time managing the domestic economic situation.